Okay, we're going to go ahead and welcome everybody to 2024. This year, we're hoping to take the entire year and just focus on various historical and genealogical societies within Indiana that can help you learn about your family history. So, with that said, if you are a part of a historical or genealogical society in Indiana and you would like to do a live session, reach out to us. You can send a direct message to either myself or Kay, and we'll get you all set up and registered. And then a couple other things before we have Kay go on. The website. We are getting a brand new website, and that will be coming soon. We know that there are broken links. It's kind of unavoidable why we make the transition, but everyone's going to be really happy, we promise, once it's all set up. And we will post on social media once that's set up. Then one more thing is save the date. IGS conference is April 19th and 20th, and it is the 35th anniversary of IGS. So we're excited. Registration will open probably, what did we say, end of January?
Hopefully by the end of January.
Yeah. So just follow social media. If you're not on social media, you'll get an email about it. But it's going to be exciting. And is that going to be hybrid?
It is.
Okay.
In person at the Allen County Public Library in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and then virtually also.
So perfect. So no matter where you are, you can attend. So for our first society, we asked Kay if she can do Henry County Historical Society and Museum. And so I am just going to let Kay take off because she's a pro at these lives now. And make sure you tell us about yourself, though. There might be new people watching.
Okay. Can you see my slide? Okay.
Yep, you're perfect.
Okay, great. My name is Kay Ford. I'm a co-director at the Henry County Historical Society and Museum. We have a genealogy library on site. I'm also the recording secretary of IGS, and I have volunteered with IGS since 2015. So let's see, go ahead and we'll move ahead here. Henry County, Indiana is located in the east central region of Indiana. We are surrounded by Madison County, Delaware County, Randolph County, Wayne County, Rush County, Shelby County, and Hancock County. And I think Fayette County is in there also. So where we're at in Indiana, the National Road runs through the southern third of our county. And that's brings a lot of history along with it. It was a major way to travel of folks moving from east to west. Sometimes they would stop in Henry County and stay, and sometimes they would move on. So just a little brief history about the Historical Society. As early as 1867, Benjamin S. Parker, who was a poet and state legislator, wrote an article in the local newspaper about the need for Henry County to have a historical society. It took 20 years, but he finally convinced 9 of his gentleman friends to form the Henry County Historical Society. They would meet at the courthouse, and I'm assuming other people's homes, until General William Grose, who served in the Civil War, passed away in 1900. His widow moved out, and she sold their mansion to the county for $5,000 for the express purpose of a museum. And the Henry County Historical Society was tasked with taking care of the general's home. Next to General Grose's home, he had a smaller home built, and this was for his adult daughter, Sarah, and her husband, John Moore, and their children. But because John's work took him out to the East Coast and then out west, Sarah and John never lived in the little home. John's parents actually lived there, and it was separate from the museum until the 1970s when the Historical Society bought that home. And then in 1976, they connected the little home and the big home with what we call the pavilion. It's the front door, the gift shop area. And the little home, we call it the annex, is where our genealogy library is located, where all the lower floor, all the lights are on there in the picture. That is where the I'd say the bulk of our resources are. And among our resources, we have the minutes of the Historical Society from the beginning of the formation all the way to the present. This picture is a picture of the early minutes. Our more current minutes are kept in 3-ring binders, actually. So I always thought that was fascinating, and sometimes I'll pull these minutes to see what was happening at a certain time. And early on, the first curator of the museum would record donations and accessions in this large red book. And this is an example of a page from that book. And it gives the donor's name, which I find fascinating as a genealogist, and the date. The earliest date on this page is 1894. So that was before the museum. I'm not sure where they kept their artifacts. But I'm assuming that this group of the 10 founders, they all had large homes. So I'm sure it wasn't an issue. One of the fascinating entries on this page, and it's hard to read, but line 19 says, "Bone from Indian boy." And this is one of the children who were massacred in Pendleton by white men. The white men were then tried and punished for that crime. And that happened in 1824. So that you can find information about that incident. It happened just over our Henry County line into Madison County. So I've always found that interesting. I have never seen the bone. Any human remains are repatriated to their tribe if we know what tribe they came from. So this is something that could have been repatriated. And the way that these are organized, we don't use this system anymore. This was, like I said, 1894. These are, and I think the bone was donated in 28, looks like. So mid to late 20s, this is how they kept accessions. So to begin with, our some of our resources are old ledgers from the courthouse. They were saved from the courthouse attic. They were going to be thrown out, and it was asked if they could be brought over to the Historical Society, and they okayed that. And these are wrapped in archival safe paper. They're old ledgers. There are some on the bottom row that need to be wrapped. But they include things such as commissioner records, military records, wills and probates, and school records. There are also estray records. And this was because there was an animal pen that was situated on the west half of the courthouse property in the center of town. When stray livestock was found, it was brought to this pen and appraised if the owner didn't show up to claim his property. There was also a book of marks kept where an owner could record his livestock and the marks that identified that livestock. The estray books have a description of the livestock, the names of the appraisers who brought the animal to the pen and who bought the animal, as well as the date. And these are some of the earliest records we have. And this might have been the only record someone left while they lived here in Henry County. And I did want to insert a disclaimer here as we go along. The photos I've taken were taken during a typical work day, and I did not pretty anything up. This is how I see it every day. And in some pictures, you'll notice what people call Easter eggs, that something there that is not like the others, that doesn't belong. So you'll see some interesting things. These are our files of family surnames. So it's all filed by last name. The big or the larger boxes on top are boxes where we have more than can be contained in a single file, such as Catherine Winter's disappearance, General William Grose and his family, World War I General Omar Bundy. There's a file here for his family, and things like that. These two little cabinets over here, that is all our Maxwell Chrysler information. I forgot to take a picture of them separately, so I just wanted to mention that here because I noticed I caught them in this picture. And right next to the family surname files, we have the photo and document files. These are original photos and documents. We make Xerox copies and put them in the family surname files so that these are not handled that often. I thought I was going to say something. I think it just slipped out of my mind. Oh, these are what people donate to us and share with us to share with other descendants or for researchers. And we appreciate all our donations. So some of these files can have as little as one sheet of paper. Some files have to be put into a larger box, or they might have two files in the cabinet. But these things have been donated to us over time, and we greatly appreciate all this wonderful history that we can save. And we do have a section of family Bibles. These are wrapped in archival safe paper. Recently, I had a lady in to do some research, and we had to pull this little brown Bible here. It's the Christopher Hedrick Bible. And inside, we found a $100 bill from the Confederate States of America. It was just tucked inside the pages. It was dated August 2nd, 1862. So they saved it. I don't know if it was worth anything then or the connection, but whenever I do receive old Bibles or old books of any sort, I try to check page by page for interesting finds such as that. Usually it's locks of hair, not money. We have a great section of city county directories. The earliest is from 1874, and then it jumps to 1901. Some of these directories beginning, I think, in the 20s, and maybe up until the 70s, they have a reverse address lookup. So if you knew where a property was, you could look up the property and see who lived there. And this is one of the first steps I take in finding out a house history for someone is I look up the address in a reverse lookup to find out who lived there at that time. And then that information can be taken to the county recorder's office to see if there is a deed or a mortgage on the property and work backward from that to see who the original owner was. And then in the beginning of some of these books are details about the city and the county, maybe like where the fire boxes were located and just really just or like the rural routes in these maybe in the 60s and 70s. So if you find something with rural route 4, you can look up what that span was. So that's pretty helpful. And then we have published family histories, and these have all been donated to us, and it's really the first 2 columns here. The third column at the end is that's where we store yearbooks from the county schools and Revolutionary War records, kind of a etc. column there, I guess. But we have we use the Dewey Decimal System. All the books are labeled, and we have those indexed in case we need to find a certain reference. And we have, of course, birth, marriage, and death information. And this little section here is it's just a little snapshot of what we have. Really, we have the pioneer certificates, cemetery and census indexes, and work done by past family historians. So this is very helpful. Some of it is divided by township. Here in Henry County, we have 13 townships. You can kind of see this one, Fall Creek Cemeteries. That's Fall Creek Township, where Middletown is located. And also on this shelf is the WPA index and the books associated with WPA. So the Works Progress Administration was formed during the Great Depression to create jobs. And one of those jobs was creating an index of names of early county settlers. The workers would collect early county references and index names, and those references were coded. So in this picture, the green books here are WPA indexes. We have 3 of them here. And then the books following the green books are coded because those are the ones they index names from. So this biographical index is coded as, I think, B. And then we have HI here, and that's the history of Henry County, Indiana. It's the 1884 interstate publication. And we have a few here also. So when I started volunteering here, I collected these references and put their codes on the spine, so it'd be easier to find when someone came in and we looked up a name. And then we have cabinets, files of just general city and county information. We have records about Newcastle, the county seat, and the Henry County government. And then we have different ethnic groups. Let's see, I believe Irish and German are two of the main ones, Native American. We have files on different modes of transportation, social life, the different parks around the county, welfare, how people were helped throughout the county, such as the poor farm, a file on homes and buildings, health, like the history of hospitals and clinics, disasters, and just a ton more, really. We keep our school files here for Newcastle schools, and then we have it divided by townships for the other schools throughout Henry County. And that includes sports and class reunions and pictures, and there's quite a bit in these two cabinets there. We do have a selection of yearbooks. These are Newcastle's Rosennial, and then we have the other county schools on the shelves that I showed you earlier. We only have a handful of those, but I did want to mention that our public library has digitized these Rosennials, and I put the link there. And after this presentation, I have this as a PDF that I can put in the comments so that you can go back and get the link. I think our earliest yearbook, it's right up here on the upper left. It was not the Rosennial, it was called the Croker. Not sure why, haven't figured that one out yet. And then they went to the Rosennial. So I believe these go to the early 1900s. And then we have these three cabinets. And this is probably the first Easter egg. We have internet extender cord there. Clubs and organizations, military, local churches, and businesses. So we have files on all sorts of information. The church files are categorized by township. We have retail businesses. We have manufacturing businesses like the factories. And like before, I mentioned the two drawers dedicated to the Maxwell factory and the Chrysler plant. The military files, those begin with the Revolutionary War and move forward in time to our most recent conflicts. We have DAR and SAR files. We have files on artists, authors, musicians, theaters, just really whatever we have found or what anyone has brought us. This very bottom drawer is dedicated to the Hoosier Manufacturing Company, which made the Hoosier kitchen cabinet. We have many examples of their sales persons, their catalogs, and that's really helpful when someone has a Hoosier cabinet and they're trying to figure out the year. And more files. These are the township files. We have it divided by all 13 townships. And within those files, we have cemetery resources and photos. from those townships and those smaller towns within the townships. And then our museum files. Those are donor slips that go back to the 60s, our grant paperwork, our operating paperwork. We have some genealogy resources here. They're a wee bit outdated, but they're still here. And local history. These are our published references about Henry County. And we have some theses about Henry County schools, churches, and the historical society itself that I have referred to in the past. There are, we also have a collection of books by local authors. I didn't grab a picture of those, but they are right next to these three shelves. And these three shelves are directly behind my desk, so I can grab them whenever I need them. And then we have military resources. And a lot of it is about the Civil War, but I was looking at this picture. I see here one here about Vietnam. And actually, these books across the top are Indiana marriage records. So really, I can check those online now, but they are in the office if I need them. And over in the big house in the museum, we have over 400 vintage books, actually. And in one cabinet, we have the complete set of the medical and surgical history of the Civil War. So if I ever need to do research about that, that is over in the museum. We also have a set of law books from General Grose's time, 1870 to 1900, including a dictionary, like a law dictionary. It's not Black's, but it's similar. So I had that at my disposal, which is really neat. Oh, and that's the cabinet in the museum where the medical and surgical history of the Civil War is. This little red book here is my favorite Newcastle reference. It was written by William Clement Bond, W.C. Bond, and he was born about 10 years before the Civil War. And so this is a collection of his memories of early Newcastle. And we have religion resources. We have many Quaker resources, not just for Henry County, but for Indiana, the yearly meetings. And we also have other books about Methodism, Presbyterian, Catholic, and Baptist in our area. This shelf of blue books is the Webster Perry collection. It's Quaker abstracted records, which is extremely helpful. We are missing one book. It's alphabetical. I can't remember which one, unfortunately, but it is very, very helpful. We do have scrapbooks and just miscellaneous. The scrapbooks are wrapped in archival paper, and they have been donated to us. And they are mostly newspaper clippings. These archival storage boxes are miscellaneous but interesting items. They could be about the historical society, such as when we've had metal detectors check the grounds, and different kind of records here, and the vacuum cleaner. So, space is a high commodity at the Historical Society. We had a donor bring us published references about Virginia, North Carolina, and Kentucky. A lot of our folks came from those three states. And this donation was just wonderful. And you can see a hurricane lamp is in this picture, but these have been extremely helpful. I just used a North Carolina published reference for a DAR application, and it was just in my own library. We also have county history books for the nearby counties that surround us and throughout Indiana. And believe it or not, we do have a card catalog, and it is full of surnames and cemetery records. And what happened was years ago, the old ledgers from the courthouse and obituaries and the scrapbooks were indexed for all the surnames that they found. And that is what this collection is. We have put all those names into a spreadsheet, and I am right now reviewing those so I can add those to our website so that you can search the card catalog yourself. The cemetery cards, they provide a reference of where someone was interred. So it's not the cemetery itself, it's not their records. It is an index of names that were found in our records, if that makes any sense. We also have some information. We have some Catholic Church records that were donated here. We have some slides from the Korean War that we're hoping to have digitized. And so we just have a miscellaneous group of objects here on the top. We do have a collection of coverlets and their little indexes right here on top of the card catalog. So, that was all downstairs. The little building does have an upstairs, and everything that we can't fit downstairs comes upstairs. So we have a map case, and in the map case, or I guess we have two, we put the large oversized photos, documents, maps, and artwork up here in the map cases. And then you go around the corner and we have clothing artifacts. And these are all marked archival dress boxes. And we have it where we can look up family names. So even if you're doing genealogy research, you may find something of your ancestors that has been donated. Something very tangible like this. And again, yes, there is a styrofoam head and some spotlights up here. So, this is just a day in the life of me at work. Upstairs, we also have the Pennsylvania Archive Collection and a skeleton, and we have a medical reference collection. These are a little older and more fragile. You can see these little round stickers. They were probably donated in the 20s, so but roughly 100 years ago. This little room is upstairs, and it's our overflow of clubs and family history. And as you can see, we are running out of room here. We have more Bibles. We have two boxes of unidentified photos. We have glass slides. We have 3 typewriters. There's one. Along with just a miscellaneous wonderful amount of things. I mean, that's a suitcase right there. But yeah, we are running out of room to put these really neat things. So one day in the museum, I was in the basement and there is a closet, and being kind of pokey like I am at the museum, I checked it out to see what was in there. And there are these huge ledgers and records. And from what I can tell, they are school records. And I checked again when I took this picture. One of our small town. It seems like we have some of their records. Someday I would like to take all this out and see what it is. With the school records, I think it's more like the teachers' exams, for when they could teach. And I'm sure there is gold in these records. I need some extra hands to help me. So if you are anywhere near Henry County and want to learn more, this closet needs some work. This stack right here, I'm awfully afraid of because it looks super fragile. And this is where I work. This is our workroom. There's the big red accession book that I took a picture of. Here are our records on this side of the wall. And then you can see my office through there. And this is my office. One of the things I forgot to take a picture of was maps. I do have a collection of maps. They're right here on my desk. So that was the closest I could get to a picture for maps. But we do have them. And that is what it looks like. And basically, there I am sitting there at my desk. That's what we have at the Henry County Historical Society for doing genealogy research. I'm trying hard to get as much of it as I can online to help people. But there's a lot. There is a lot of information. I just noticed in my office picture, a picture on the wall. It's the first curator of the museum, Clarence Smith, and the genealogy library is named after Clarence Smith. So he is hanging right there on the wall over my shoulder, and I think of him often when I'm doing work for people. And that is all I have. There's our contact information, where you can find us online or give us a call or email, write us a letter. Right now we are closed for the winter, January, February, but I still go into the office. I check my email and the phone. So if you have any questions, reach out. If you'd like a tour or come in and do research, give me a call and we'll set something up, because I'm cleaning right now and organizing in the museum, but if someone wants to come in, I will certainly make myself available. So that is all I have about the Henry County Historical Society.
Okay, Michael asked a question.
Sure.
Do you still have some of the original recorded artifacts from the late 1800s?
From the late 1800s. Recorded artifacts. Well, if you're
Do you have
talking,
something particular you were asking about, Mike? Let's see this. I'm not sure if he's still on or not, but
okay, if it's those old courthouse ledgers, then yeah, those cover from 1822.
oh, here he is. when you showed the page where the records, where they recorded the records, do you still have those?
Oh, those artifacts. Some of those we do, and some of those we have no idea where they wound up. We have so many closets and drawers in the museum that we can still today find things hidden. We're getting ready to change one of the smallest rooms, the butler's pantry. We're going to set up a Catherine Winters permanent exhibit. And there is a giant desk in there. It's almost like a hutch cupboard. It's tall and it's staying in there. But I was in the room a couple days ago and I was thinking about how I wanted to lay out this exhibit. And I sat down at that desk, which is where Clarence Smith, the first curator, worked. And I opened, it has like a drop front, and there were things tucked away in there that I've never seen before. And I didn't have time that day to explore, but I imagine that, excuse me, a lot of those things in the Red Book are still around. I know on that page that I showed, there was a note a few lines above the that line 19 where there's a note that says removed by donor. And you'll see that throughout the book where folks loaned items and then they came back and took them back.
And then we had a comment by Danielle. She said this is very informational.
Thank you.
She's researching a house on High Street in Middleton built in the late 1800s.
Okay.
And then
awesome.
Let's see. I don't think we have any questions. How do you handle if someone needs research that doesn't live in the area?
You can reach out to me. Email is usually best, or you can give us a call, and typically you'll probably get the voicemail. But we check the voicemail and we'll get back with you. Or you can message us on Facebook even. I keep an eye on that. And we typically ask for a $15 donation to do research. So that's why I'm eager to get the card catalog up online so people can look that up and see if their folks are on the list. I know I want to say we had 75,000 names on that card catalog list. I'm going through it to make sure there aren't duplicates and make sure it's in alphabetical order and ready to go. My goal was the end of 2023, so still working on that.
So the best way for them to reach you then to volunteer is to send you an email
Sure.
or call. And then is there projects that out of town people can assist with? Society?
Not right now. I wish there were. We would have to digitize things, and that might be something I look into. Scanning the pages of that the oldest sessions book. If I could scan those and send those to have someone transcribe them, that would be super helpful because there is no index in the book. You just have to go page by page.
So probably what they could do is just message you, email you, hey, when you got a project going, I live out of town, I want to help.
Sure.
they could just.
That'd be wonderful.
Okay, let me see. Take one more glance if you guys have questions.
Now, I probably should add that we have references in the annex, downstairs and upstairs, and over in the museum we have things, and then we have a third building next door where we also keep references. I didn't go over there to take pictures because it's really newspaper microfilm. We have all the rolls of microfilm from our newspaper, our Newcastle's local newspaper, from the late 1800s through 2009. There are over 500 rolls of microfilm over there. And we do have bound newspapers. They are fragile. If they weren't printed on rag paper, they're falling apart. And we have some portraiture over there, artwork. We have negatives. So we have a 2-story home where we rent the upstairs as an apartment. We're getting that ready to re-rent. And the downstairs is artifact storage and like the newspaper microfilm. So we have more next door.
You have a lot of projects there.
We have a lot. We have a lot of things. We're the oldest continuously operating historical society in the state of Indiana. I think Wayne County and Vigo County were historical societies first. They had to close their doors and restart. So that left us in 1887. And that's, we've never had to close our doors. During the pandemic, I was still there. I was able to work and answer queries through email and the phone. So yeah, we hope to continue for another 200 years at least.
And do you want
Not
to
sure.
talk about membership for the society?
Sure. It's if you go to our website, henrycountymuseum.org, there is a button at the top that says I think support us. And if you hover over it, it drops down a list and it says become a member. You can click on that. You can join, pay your dues via PayPal, or there is a membership application you can download. It's a fillable PDF, so you can fill it out and save it on your computer and email it to me, or print it and mail it to me. I'm good with anything. You could drop by if you see my car there, ring the bell at the front door or the back door, and we'll try to take care of whatever you need.
It's been fantastic. A lot of information. You guys have a lot of stuff there.
It's super fun, especially when new donations come in, or like going through the old Bible and finding that Confederate $100 bill.
That was pretty cool.
It's like onion skin paper, very, very fragile. But yeah, that was shocking to find that. We had some Confederate money in our military display, but sometimes you just find these surprises. So And yeah, sorry about the Easter eggs throughout the
Oh,
pictures.
it was fine. You
I
had some
like this.
information and probably nobody noticed if you didn't say anything.
The styrofoam head jumped out at me when but we actually, I'll be using that in the Catherine Winter exhibit. I don't want to say why, but it's something that you will want to see. It hasn't been online, the something that was found at her home. So that's all I'm going
So
to say.
everyone will need to follow Facebook, you guys on Facebook, so that they can see when you
Yeah,
reveal it.
it should be ready in we reopen March 5th. Um, and then we're planning an eclipse viewing party on April 8th because we are in the path of totality, total solar eclipse. So we're going to do a little presentation about other total eclipses um, and their ties to Henry County, which is really fascinating. I have to say it. There was one in 1806, and it was predicted by Tecumseh and his brother, the prophet. And there is a connection to those gentlemen to a family in Henry County. So I don't want to give too much away, but
Okay,
so
we'll keep an eye out.
yeah,
Okay,
some
one final question. So within your whole collection, what is your favorite piece within the society in the museum?
okay. Well, I have my favorite book is the W.C. Bond book, and my favorite artifact is it's kind of I have a picture of it on my computer somewhere, but it's in the dining room of the museum, and it is pewter. It it's round, and it was used as a butter dish back in the day. Um, they would put ice in the bottom part, and then their little pats of butter on the top, and it kind of closed, closed. So it looks like this orb. It has two little legs that it stands on, and it has its own little set of pewter tongs, so you could pick up your little pat of butter and keep the butter cold. So, and it's fancy. Um, I
You'll have
know
to share a picture on social media
I have
so
to.
you can see it.
I've taken a picture of it, so I call it an orb. Yeah, but um,
The butter orb.
a butter orb. And uh, for anyone who wants to know, I've never met General Grose or any of his family, and I've been there after dark by myself many times. And I prepared myself just in case. I have questions for the man. Um, but no, the only thing I've noticed is when I go into the museum from the annex, sometimes I can smell like wood smoke. There were several fireplaces, so sometimes I can pick up notes of that. But the museum itself, it has had uh uh like what's the word I'm looking for? Restoration.
Mhm.
Um, it it's not like what it was in 1870. They didn't have carpet. They had rugs. From the we only have a handful of pictures from the 1920s. That's as far back as we can go. Um, and I think the rooms have been changed. The layout has changed a bit over there. Like I said, the butler's pantry is this little teeny tiny room off the dining room, and there was a dumbwaiter that went to the basement where the summer kitchen was. When Grose lived there, the dumbwaiter opened into the butler's pantry. Now the dumbwaiter opens in the dining room. So they wouldn't have seen the dumbwaiter as they sat there to have their meals. It opened into the butler's pantry. So there have been some changes made, but I mean, it's fascinating. I had some folks who were traveling from the West Coast to the East Coast, a family, and they were descendants of a family who lived here. And we had portraiture of their ancestors that were restored and cleaned. And the man who did the restoration put these portraits on his website. The family saw the portraits and they knew that they were at our museum. So on their cross-country trip, they stopped at the museum to see the portraits. And I was showing them the portraits and I said, I think we have a family file on this family. And so we went over to the annex and I pulled the file, and it was a man and his wife and their son and his wife. The older gentleman had been a preacher and he was from Germany. We found in the family file handwritten sermons of the older gentleman in German and English. And they were just amazed that I didn't know they were in there. I just knew we had a file. I had not been through it. So we found some really neat things that day. That was a really neat experience.
Well, and that's one reason to always go back, because you never know what new things are going to be there. History
Right.
is always being uncovered.
Mm-hmm. This is true. This is true. I mean, it's like Christmas or my birthday when folks bring things in. So, and we appreciate the opportunity to preserve this history.
Absolutely.
It's a gift.
All right. I just want to, before we go, I want to remind everyone this is being recorded. So you're going to be able to find it on the Society's Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. And are you going to post it on Henry County's YouTube channel too?
Yep. I'm going to put
Okay.
it out there, and I will post the PDF in the comments
Okay.
so that there's that library link in there and then all this information.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. And if anyone else has questions, just reach out, and
Yep.
thank you again. We'll see you guys next month.
Great. Thanks, John Marie.